Hello, hello, George, and we are back.
Yes, we are. Back again.
I am so excited. It's been a weird couple weeks where we're moving to a bigger spot. Just
Wait,
work has been a
who's
little
we?
crazy.
Because we are staying put.
Yeah. No. I mean, like me, Lauren, and the kids moving to a bigger spot. We woke up one morning and said, "Oh, we've outgrown this place. Oh, the lease is up in 2 months. Oh, let's look for a place. Oh, look how nice this place is. Okay, press contact, seller or whatever." And we did, and they called back within a couple hours, and all of a sudden we're moving on Saturday. So yeah, everything moved really, really, really fast, and we're going to a bigger space, and we're really, really excited. So I'm so glad that we've been on this journey with this book because it's it's having an effect on my life and how I handle situations, and I'm seeing a huge difference with something like this, like a move, and how anxious and stressed I would be in the past, and how I am not like that now, and it's because of my attitude toward it. So so that's basically what's been going on. And how are you, George?
Dude, I am doing very well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm doing very
Yes, you
well.
are.
It is it continues to the book continues to reveal itself, and the lessons that we're learning continue to manifest themselves in ways that I am like shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked. And
Shocked.
when I am like consciously applying a lesson that I've read, or like a quote that I heard, or like the things that we remember, the things that we say, I consciously apply it, right? Like I think about it and I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, I'm going to use this moment to do exactly this.
Mm-hmm.
And then for it to fucking play out exactly how he says it does.
That's what I'm talking about.
Dude, like it is it's very gratifying. It is it is I feel like I'm going to cry a lot of right this episode. I don't know what's wrong with me. I was like, it is a freedom that I never, like, I guess considered could be possible,
Right.
you know?
Mm-hmm. It's
To be
amazing.
free of like to be free of the need to worry, because we worry, but then you
Yeah.
realize how to filter that energy and
Yeah.
relieve yourself of it, like, which something that used to take maybe a couple minutes, now it's like,
Yep. No. Yep. 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 So good, man. So good.
oh, good.
And we get to chapter 6,
Yes.
and you know, I I read how it opens, and I get emotional. I get emotional because in my therapy work, I'm constantly telling, and I know I've said this in previous episodes, but I'm constantly telling my patients, we start with awareness, and they sometimes look at me like, well, yeah, duh, like I don't pay you for you to tell me that. I knew that. But you know how many people understand the word, but they don't understand this, what to do with that awareness. Like that's what, and so and then I open up chapter 6, and it says the beginning. Well, chapter 6 is called Breaking Free.
Mm-hmm.
And it's, so it starts explaining that the beginning of freedom from the pain body, which is what we talked about in chapter 5. So the beginning of freedom from the pain body lies, first of all, in the realization that you have a pain body. Now, a person could read that and read right through it and just be like, okay, and keep going. They don't understand that this is the shit right here. This is the moment where the whole concept of separating the thought from the ego, the whole thing of like taking a witness stance to your life, right? Getting outside of yourself and looking at yourself from the outside looking in, and having an awareness is the essential first step. So you're aware that you feel something. Now you have something to work with. You're aware that you have the pain body. You realize that you have the pain body. Now you can do something about it. Now you can detect it. Now you can sense it. Now you know when it's triggered. Now you have the ability to something that's presented itself. And it's like if a car broke down, you just stare at the engine hoping that the engine's going to tell you what's wrong with it. No, you have to go and see what's wrong. Once you know what's wrong, now you know what tools you need. Now you know what you can do. Now you know how you can react. Now you can do something about it. So I love how it opens up.
I mean, just understanding that you are not the pain body.
Right.
That it is not you experiencing that. Like you are so much greater than that.
Yes, that's a great way. That's a beautiful way to put it.
These experiences that you're having, these moments you're feeling, these collective, year after year, experience after experience, thing after thing, trigger after trigger that has accumulated to create this like knot, this ball, this tension, this cancer, this tumor, this pain body is not you. Like to know that there is a separation, which is why I love the quote that he says in the beginning, or like he talks about it, I think on the podcast, where he's like, I thought to myself, I can no longer live with myself like this, or I can't keep doing this. And like, and so for you to, I mean, and everyone has felt that, right? Like, I can't do this anymore. Like, who are you talking to in that moment?
Yeah.
Who is that you're talking to? Because it's not you talking to just yourself. There is something within it. There's that voice is that message is coming from the true man, like that from you in that moment. Like you see yourself going through the crisis, you see yourself going through having the anxiety, and you're like, no, we can't do that anymore.
No, we can't be doing that right now. Yeah. Yeah.
So that understanding that, like you said, is so fucking critical. To be able to break free. And
your conscious presence. Your conscious presence is what breaks the identification with the pain body.
It's for everything that we've learned, one of the easiest, like a super easy tool to like pull me out when I feel it coming is to be like, where am I and what am I doing right now?
Mm-hmm.
Like if I'm thinking about something else and I'm not, and that something else is causing me great anxiety, great pain, great tension, great anger, great, sadness. And it's not where I'm at because right now I'm on my laptop at my house doing my work.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at. That is just that ability to just like harness yourself and pull yourself out of whatever you're going through in your mind, which is not where you're at. You're never there until you're there. And the times that you're actually like having those issues go on are so rare and far between.
Yep. Yeah.
And they're always worse in your head than they are in real life. Like I've had moments where like things I feel like are going to come up and I'm like, okay, here we go. And it never pans out the way that
brace yourself.
Because I will because my ego will make it like, it'll be an apocalypse. It'll be doomsday. It'll be the meteor is coming in 3 minutes and we need to save the world. Like that is how those feelings are. And
the ego holds resentment toward everything. The ego holds resentment, and therefore, it's going to say, oh, we've experienced this before and it was bad and it's coming. So be ready.
Yeah. And the notion that it is your conscious presence that breaks the identification with the pain body is so true. Like you cannot be upset about the shit that's happened to you when you're just exactly where you focus on where you're at and what you're doing in that moment, whether it's your exercise or whether it's washing your dishes, whether it's, making love to your partner, going dancing, whatever, driving your car. Like that's the moment that you are focused on where you're at and you can feel the pulse in your body, feel the air on your skin, like you are aware of what is sensory where you're at. There is the freedom from that anxiety. There is that freedom from the pain body. It's right there in that moment. I love that. I always love that.
I love that too. I love that too.
And even like in
Yeah.
chapter 6, it's and like he brings it up again to remind us like that is the key.
Yep. It is. It is a turning point. It's a turning point, and this is what people and our listeners. Thank you for listening and always coming back and listening to us. But
Hi guys,
this is what our listeners need to understand, and what we are processing internally is what we project out. So if you ever ask yourself a question like, why do I keep attracting these people? Why do I always end up making friends with people that are like XYZ, and they end up, screwing me over, or they end up forgetting about me, or they end up, treating me bad when they're around other people, or why do I keep dating the same kind of person? And just that X type of person just always comes to me because that I just always attract that. Okay. We've heard this before. We've been guilty of saying it. We've heard friends say it. I hear it all day long, and what people need to understand that, is okay, the awareness part, and then this is the turning point to understand that whatever work you're doing internally is going to determine what you project out. And what you project out determines what you or who you attract. So Eckhart talks about how every human being emanates an energy field that corresponds to his or her inner state, and most people can sense it. That's, to me, in my opinion of this book, that's the turning point, that if you can grasp this concept, if you ever have asked yourself those questions, or if you claimed something like this always happens to me, or I always get stuck with the shit, or well, yeah, you do, but it's not because of what anybody did to you. It's because of what you are projecting out. Therefore, that's what you're attracting.
I mean, isn't that like golden rule? Like, do unto others as you want unto yourself, almost. I mean, I know that's like the outward expression of it, but like, think
Right.
about it. If you have an internal monologue that is defeatist, that is anxious, then the likelihood is that you're going to have to perpetuate that energy, and you're going to find yourself around people that will either take advantage of you or use that against you, or find a way to, like, I don't know, bring that more of that out. Like, you are seeking what you are thinking. Like, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy almost, like, or a self-perpetuating behavior where you're just manifesting the things that you say you don't want, but you're not changing your behavior. Like, you cannot have a different life if you don't fucking change the life that you are living. You can't be a different person if you don't change the decisions that you make. And if you're not aware of the why that you do it, and what and why you do the things that you do, or why you think the way that you think, I don't think that you're able to like make that snap decision or make that conscious decision to change. You have to be, there has to be a willingness to do it, right?
Oh man, yeah, willingness is everything. Yeah.
Like, how do you, like, I often find myself hearing people say things like struggling with anxiety, struggling with, what's to come in the future, and not being, and you can see them trying to like hold on or grasp to something to like make them feel better about it, but there's nothing really there because they're so focused on the possibility of all the things that could happen and whatever, instead of just being like, well, you're not there right now. You're driving in your car, so just get to where you're going and do what you need to do, and don't worry about, how can you not worry about it? Like, I get the whole like, how can you not worry about it? Because trust me, it's easy for me to, it's always easy for me to be like in the present moment when I've got something to fucking do. That's why nights are rough.
What are they?
Why nighttime is rough for me.
Oh yeah, okay.
Like the nighttime when there's the only thing left to do is to go to sleep. Sometimes can be difficult. And like I meditate and I like calm myself, and I focus on my breath and I center myself, and I usually can get over it. But that's where I have found myself to be, have had the hardest time being there, not letting my brain, letting my brain run away with, the thoughts.
Right.
Like, I think I've broken free there was a while that I was like, I got this. Like, we're good. And then like, sure enough, like here comes, everything starts good. It starts to land the ship, and I'm just like, oh God, oh, oh no. Uh, and then I'm just trying to find like this, I call it the sleepy train. Like if I miss the sleepy train, it takes another like 90 minutes for it to come back around.
That's right.
Okay, here comes the sleepy train. Okay, don't think about that thing that you thought about last. So there it is again.
It just pops in your head. I mean, and I just believe that all people struggle with sleep or people struggle with relationships. I mean, it all comes to this like, separation and detaching from the pain body, and
Yeah.
like there's this part where he writes, there's nothing you can do about the fact that at this moment this is what you feel. All right, so it's true, like there's nothing, you feel a certain way. So in cognitive behavioral therapy, that's when the thought presents itself, right? Automatic thoughts, we can't control it, right? The thoughts just pop into our head, and you're gonna feel it. You're gonna react a certain way to it, and at that moment, it is what you feel. Now, instead of wanting this moment to be different from the way it is, which adds more pain to the pain that is already there. So let me just read that again, because I feel like there's a lot of things that I know that I passed through quickly when I was reading and didn't connect. And this is one of those, because, all right, I'll just say it again. Now, instead of wanting this moment to be different than the way it is,
Mm-hmm.
all right, which adds more pain to the pain that is already there. So that is the sulking, right? That is the, I'm choosing not to do anything about it. I'm choosing to live in it and just kind of drown in this feeling right now.
And like,
Because,
why can it be different? Why
right,
does it have to be this way?
right. And instead, you can just completely accept that this is what you feel right now. And then that gives you the permission to move on to the next thing.
Yeah, like it's almost like we've been taught to or conditioned to resist, and resistance only elongates or like makes it the anxiety or that stuff last even longer.
Yes,
You know,
absolutely.
as
It
opposed to
extends the whole process.
it, and maybe it's this like I don't know why, but maybe it's cultural conditioning, maybe it's like a warrior mentality that we're supposed to maintain, but like submitting or like or just like submission to the idea that like okay, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't do anything about it because it's
right.
what 9 times out of 10, like more often in my personal experience, those when I can't do something about it, it's because it's literally up to somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
Like, will I get that job? Up to somebody else. Will the person that I like me back? Up to somebody else.
That's it.
Will she say yes when I propose? Up to her, not you.
Yep.
Will I get the loan? I don't know. You may not qualify.
Right.
Am I gonna? It's up to somebody else. A lot of
Yeah.
times, and you can only prepare up to a certain point, right? Like, am I ready for this competition? Well, you've done the training. If you've done the training that you're supposed to do, and you've been, then you're ready to do it. Like, you're ready for the moment that you're in, because that's where you're at.
Right. That's it. That's it. But getting somebody to do that, I mean, there are people who, if we're talking about men of a certain age, there are men of a certain age who, I mean, were raised to, I mean, everything we're talking about, this is like Chinese. This is like, and everything goes back to the ego. Like, what are you saying? I'm not supposed to be competitive, or I'm not supposed to be mad that I lost. I'm not supposed to be mad that I don't feel prepared for this competition. I mean, like, and it's like, that's not, not what we're saying.
Not at all. That's
It's not at
completely
all.
missing the point. The point is not
Yeah.
it's not an avoidance of
Right.
it.
That's the
The
word.
goal is not to, you can't avoid something, if the goal is to avoid it, then you've missed the point, because
Yeah.
it's unavoidable, because it's all of these experiences are unavoidable. The feelings are going to be unavoidable, because it's like you said about cognitive thought, or what was that thing? Thoughts are
Yeah.
automatic. You don't,
Ants.
just like breathing, ants.
Automatic negative thoughts.
I am going to breathe now, and I will have a conscious thought now. Your hair
Yeah.
looks
What was the last thing you said?
nice. Your hair looks nice, Carlos. That is my conscious thought as I look into the night.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. This thing's happening. This is
Are you tossing it around?
happening.
Do you wet it in the shower and like headbangers ball sometimes?
No. Right now, I'm just
Oh.
following the instruction of my hairdresser or
That's
hairstylist. And
That's how I know that you're straight, because you don't do hairography in the bathroom listening to Britney Spears.
nope, sorry, I don't. I just blow dry it and then wait like 5 minutes, and then I know, right? I do like this here, like that, and then just this is the guitar playing stance right here, like with the hair just right
Dude,
there.
and I had long hair. I was whipping that thing back and forth, getting it wet, slapping and swinging it around. Yeah,
Yeah.
very that.
Well, it's getting there. So we get to the part where he starts talking about emotion. I love this. I love this so much. Is like I feel like we're just geeking out so hard right now, and I absolutely fucking love it, because this shit is life changing. Emotion in itself is not unhappiness. See, I'll just finish. Emotion in itself is not unhappiness. Only emotion plus an unhappy story is unhappiness. And that's, I love that. I love that. And I love watching people get it. Like there's a moment, like people come back, because people don't see it. Usually you see it first in somebody before they notice it themselves. But like I'll have patients come back and be like, yeah, like this thing happened, and I don't know, like it used to make me anxious, but in the moment I was like, why am I going to connect that? Like why does that have to make me unhappy right now? I mean, it's not like whatever. So I just kind of like dodged it, whatever. But anyway, let's talk about my anxiety. And I'm like, you did it. You did it. Like I'm applauding you, and they're like, no, that wasn't a big deal. I'm like, 5 sessions ago, that was a huge deal. Yeah. Like you weren't capable of doing that. You would have been like angry, throwing shit around, making yourself the victim. Why does this shit always happen to me? And you had the thought, you had the trigger, you chose to intervene before you reacted. You rationalized it. You separated yourself from the ego, and you just said, that doesn't serve me right now, and I'm going to move on. And if it did serve you in that moment, then you would have acknowledged it. And again, it's not avoidance. It's just deciding to not create an unhappy story with an emotion that's created.
And the awareness of being, and like, you cannot have that level of processing without being completely aware and completely in that moment.
Right.
Because if all of a sudden you were thinking, if the moment that the person started up with something, all you thought about was all the times you've been fucked over in the past, then guess what you're bringing into that situation?
Yeah.
As opposed
or even
to
sorry, go ahead.
No, finish. Go ahead.
No, that even in like daily application, like look at people, like if we think about traffic, or we think about people waiting in line at a gas station or something, or when someone's in a hurry, right? They're not present, right? If someone's in a hurry, where are they?
Where they need to go.
Where they need to go. They're in the future. So what behaviors do we see usually in people that are in a hurry? Irritable, right?
Irritable,
antsy, angry, like
looking around,
yeah, like just a lot of anger, angst, and it's funny because that's like a little mini capsule. It's like a little demonstration of like you're feeling like that because you're living in the future, and you don't have a time machine, so that causes frustration, and don't get me wrong, I mean, I am a very on-time person. Like I'm a very timely person, very punctual. And yes, I do get frustrated when I'm late. I do get frustrated when I run into traffic. I do get frustrated when the person in front of me at the gas station is buying a chocolate bar and they're counting their money like, super slow. And I'm like, dude, yeah, because I'm human. But there you go. There's a thought. There's a negative thought. I'm choosing to look at this person like the villain or bad guy in my life. They're holding me back. I need to get somewhere. I'm not there yet. I'm going to be late. It's going to look bad. And I'm living in the future. And it's like, well, maybe you don't have to buy your protein bar right now, because maybe if you were in a hurry, you wouldn't have stopped here and you would have just gotten in your car and continued going to where you need to get to. But you chose to get out of the car. You chose to pick up a protein bar, and now you're in line, and all of this was your doing. So why are you mad at the guy in front of you? And because when you live in the future, you feel like shit.
Yeah, and also you think everything personal, and you think everything's about you. Like how dare the guy in front of you decide to like be 30 seconds ahead,
right?
And only pull out the change that he has in his pocket. Heaven forbid.
Yep.
Like as if he's doing that to you. That's the other part. Like the idea that like everything happens to you, it's all about you. It's the taking things personally stuff. Like,
yep.
It's just a reframing. When you're able to having the ability to reframe that narrative and see it in another way it's affirming to how to everything that he says here.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know, dude. I had no fucking clue. I didn't and if I didn't get it.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get it, and then you get it, and then you start to think about it, and you start to like apply it, and then you see it happening over and over again. You're like, oh yeah, there it is again. There it is again. Oh, there it is. Oh shit. And then you see it in other people, and then you're like, oh, and then you realize that the things that you see in other people are the shit that you hate about yourself, and the shit that keeps you held back, and you're like, fuck. Okay, got it. He's right.
Yeah, and that's why one of the most beautiful things that I heard and recently and started doing is, try to find pieces of yourself in other people. It'll change the way you interact with them. And it's so true, like what you're saying, like you'll recognize things about yourself in other people, and it changes the way you treat the person.
You know what the interesting thing about like understanding egoic behavior? It's twofold. It's understanding where like the negative can come and eat away at you and chew away at you and create a huge hole, but also how like the positive can create like a very false sense of satisfaction. And to be conscious of the decision, be conscious of like those thoughts as well. Like when you're doing something that perpetuates that feeling, like, am I doing this because I want to feel better than somebody else, or like I'm not feeling good, so I need to do this other thing? Are we good?
Yeah. Sorry. I thought there was a dog emergency, but there's not. Sorry about that.
No, you're good. I'm good. Sorry. But that's what I'm saying. Like you've got to be, I think it's important to be mindful of the two, because one inevitably will feed the other.
Right.
It's easy to be conscious of like, bad ego shit, but anything, the positive, when I guess like when positive things start to like, if you receive it and you do, and it manifests in a way that you start to feel better then. You know what I mean? That's that whole thing. Like, and I've that. It's important. It is important. It's important because listen, I've had a dramatic change in my appearance. And
let's talk about that.
I mean, look, I feel great. I feel more confident in the way that I look than I ever have in my entire life. At 41 years old, I feel better and I look better than I think I ever before. And
I would have to agree with you on that.
When you talk about, understanding how your ego manifests, and you're also like
Oh,
trying to balance this like,
so,
remember that? Did you ever see the Nutty Professor
yeah,
with Eddie Murphy?
yeah.
When he like loses all the weight and he becomes like Eddie Murphy the comedian and he's like, spandex, everything's spandex. I just naked, everything naked, like show it, show it, show it, show it, show it. And it was to get like this kind of like attention because it felt good, like to to see that, you know, and to
Yeah.
realize that it's like, oh yeah, I gotta curtail this too. And someone, you know, people might tell me, George, no, like live your best life, like it's self-care, like you're doing it for you. No one, you're not harming anybody. Um, and my response is, well, if I'm having a hard time with the bad shit, but I'm using it to like, I don't know, manipulate my feelings into feeling better about myself, then you're never gonna get anywhere.
Hmm.
You know, it's almost
Yeah,
like,
that's right.
you know, like it's like a person who's like, I'm gonna do a low carb diet, but I'm also gonna, you know, cheat every weekend. You're never gonna get anywhere.
Right.
Like you'll do well, and then you'll just like slip back up, and you'll end up right where you started again. Like I don't feel like you can get out of that.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be
True.
a like, I don't know, and it's something that like that was like that I was dealing with in the last couple of like weeks.
Yeah. So, but here's the question:
Yeah,
anything spandex or?
I mean,
Just
listen,
kidding. Just
I was
kidding.
wearing Speedos 30 pounds ago and feeling fine about it, and now I'm
Yeah.
wearing like the same Speedos, 30 pounds less, feeling even
Uh-huh.
better about it, not worried
Yeah.
about it. You know, listen, I long I lost about 100 pounds 10 years ago, right? And when I was on the other side of that, I felt like the fucking king peacock. I was like, I got this, y'all. Like,
Mm-hmm.
talk to me about how to lose weight, y'all.
Mm-hmm.
You need fitness advice, you need nutrition advice. Let me tell you how to do it. It's called two things. One is CrossFit, and two is do not eat a carb. The end. Super simple. And then a year later, I had gained about 50 pounds. And no one was asking me about nutritional advice, you know? And, but it's so like, I knew what that was like, right? And so to see this kind of thing kind of like happening again, and it all really coming to like, dude, there's a reason that it's happened as quick. Like, yes, the quarantine has been since March, and yes, we've been solely at home, and yes, I've been out here and I've been more active, but we started this 6 weeks ago, and the transformation in the last 6 weeks has been, I mean, it made all the difference. Like I really lost. I mean, I know that I pretty much lost like, I think I lost like the last 10, 15 pounds in that time. And it was just, I'm sure that my change in mindset, my change in perspective, I'm sure that what we've done with this book has had a tremendous impact
Do
on
you
that.
feel that it's had an impact on how you eat? Like, and I'm not talking about what you eat. I'm talking about like in the behavior of eating.
Yes, 100%. I've never been a person that has been, I've always, when you're unconscious in the behavior, when you're unconscious in your life and you are like, you're in the passenger seat, right? Because the ego's in driver's seat, so then you're in the passenger seat. So the
Right.
ego's driving the machine, and just I would just like I would just like I would be eating and drinking and all of the substance abuse issues, all of the eating, you know, the up and down yo-yo eating and the binging, and like some days I would be perfect with my macros, and other days I'd just be like, today's a bad day. I'm gonna like make a pot of macaroni and cheese, and I'm gonna eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs. I'm gonna drink this bottle of wine, and I'm gonna like just, I mean, yeah, because fucking ego was like, yeah, you gonna eat mac and cheese, you're gonna eat some Haagen-Dazs, you're gonna drink that
Yeah.
bottle of wine, you're still gonna feel shitty. Then we're gonna
Yeah.
feed you shitty food, so then you're gonna feel
Yep.
shitty and have the shits.
Mm-hmm.
And we're driving this bus until you decide to get back into the driver's seat. And that always happens like, okay, enough. Like, I'm going to go back to the gym. I'm going to take control. And like, it was always that push pull. And I didn't understand the why behind that. I didn't understand why I would fall. Like, you know, my nutrition coach would be like, why did you fall into, I would call it like, I had like a committed carbicide, or like I fell into a box of pizza and I didn't find myself out of it. Because I was thinking about something else and it made me upset. And so instead of dealing with that or being okay with that, I was like, I want to eat cheese pizza and I want a pint of ice cream, and that is going to make me feel better, even though I'm not hungry.
Right. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
It's nuts.
It's so crazy. It's nuts.
Nuts.
It's nuts. So
it's
now
insanity is what it is.
It is. Now I wanted to, well, I don't know if you had it, because I wanted to get to this note here, but I don't know if it jumps ahead from any notes that you have. But
just skipping around.
I really like when it starts going into how money can activate the pain body and cause complete unconsciousness. And this concept that the pain body is fueled by our unconsciousness. The pain body needs our unconsciousness. It cannot tolerate the light of presence. I love that so fucking much. You know, it's like, look, you know, a lot of people in our generation, and at least at least the contemporaries that I grew up with, or whatever you want to call it, you know, they don't understand my relationship with money and material things. And we've talked about this in so many episodes where, you know, it was the check, you know, the list, the check boxes, you know, the car, the 2 cars, the house, the extra house, the boat, the, you know, on and on and on and on, and more and more and more and more, at an age where everybody was ramping up, so to speak. I was purposely, right, not because I didn't have a job, not because I didn't have income, not because I don't make a good living, but I was purposely scaling back. Like, I'm like, no, I want less, right? So, and the short-term results of that were, you know, odd for some people. And some people are like, dude, you know, like, you know, people will say like asshole things like, oh, you know who says things like that? People who don't have money. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. And I'm like, well, that's not my situation. So, but I think that one thing that happened when Lauren and I started taking this approach, is realizing, and not in these words, but definitely realizing how the whole money thing can activate the pain body for sure, and can cause complete unconsciousness. And
because I mean, if you think about what you're using that money for, you know, like the accumulation of wealth, the accumulation of that is fine if the pursuit is not to fill, you know, your own worth.
Right. That's what I'm talking about.
And I'm sure, listen,
perfect sense.
And yes, conceptually, like, we can all like nod our heads and agree. And somewhere out there, someone's gonna be like, yeah, that's great, but tell that to the motherfucker who is being led completely by ego and is cheating all the way to the top. And my answer to that person is like, well, you know what? Do you want to live like that motherfucking guy? That guy is probably not free. I have known very, very like wealthy people who perpetuate an image of success and are more nervous, neurotic, tethered to anxiety than anyone, than other people, definitely than me, you know. And it's one of those things where, and I know that, like, you know, what's that old lyric, like, more money, more problems, like, kinda, because like you need, like, if you said it before we started recording, there's only 24, did you say before we started recording, or was it after? 24 hours in the day?
I think I said it before we started recording.
Okay, so there's only 24 hours. We all get 24 hours in a day, right? Like you
Yeah.
cannot divide that's it. Time is finite, it's done, it's like that's it. And so if you choose to if you choose your time and you're doing this one thing, then you can't do something else.
Right.
And if that thing that you're doing, is accumulating you wealth beyond, all possible realms of dreams, is fine. But if you're miserable the entire time you're doing it and you're not free to enjoy it, then what the fuck is the point?
Yeah. Seriously, what the
fuck is the point? What the fuck is the point?
I know.
Like, I like the idea of a private jet, but I also like the idea of, like, I don't know, like being at home with my animals and my family and enjoying that time and not having to be like on the phone with, I don't know who, when, where, what, why, tied and pulled, and the freedom of living my own life,
Mm-hmm.
That's why, like, I don't understand reality shows anymore. And I mean, like, I don't think I would ever purposely sign up for one. I don't think I would, but I don't think I would.
Yeah. But hey, man, never say never.
This is the contract. But like, you mortgage your life for someone else's entertainment.
Yeah.
And then there's always going to be kind of like, there's always like something shitty is going to happen, because there's no way that you can be aware or like present in that when you're like, when you know that you're being fucking filmed.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, I just think that this chapter is really cool when it comes to what I call it. Not titled it. I shouldn't say that. I've named it the turning point. This is like you have the information, and now it's about internalizing it so it can change what you project out and what you attract, and change what you attract. And that's basically what I got out of it. That knowing that things we identify with strongly turns into ego, and the ego is fueled by unconsciousness. And unconsciousness is the lack of presence, not being present, not understanding what your meaning is behind the things that you're doing, not being engaged in what you're doing, not allowing yourself to experience positive emotions, all those things that I always talk about, and that's all those involve being mindful, being present, so definitely love the chapter for sure. This is like my favorite chapter.
The chapter was good because it does, I don't know, maybe I'm the kind of person that when I'm like, I applied it as I went. Like, I read a chapter, we learned the concepts, and then like I immediately was like, okay, let's apply it. Let's see if we can make this work, right? So we started with 1 + 1 = 2, and I was like, yep, 1 + 1 = 2. One apple, 2 apples.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, and then it starts to build on itself, and so you keep to apply it. So now that we're at 6, they're asking us to do the application route now, right?
That's right.
You see so you're putting it together, and it's like, yeah, it's from, I was reading it and I was like nodding my head along. I was like, yep, yes, agreed 100%. Things that what did I look, you mentioned so many of them already that I feel like I'm just going to be like reiterating what you've already said, but it's just like, I don't have anything more to add, honestly.
Okay.
I just don't. It like, he talks about the moment. I guess he was talking to he presents an example where he's talking to a patient or someone who came to see him, and I guess he was going through something and something was going on, and so his advice to her is that when she was in a moment of feeling bad, right? Like there was something was going on, and it was what was happening right there was something she was feeling bad, And his response was, there is nothing you can do about the fact that at this moment, this is what you feel. Now, instead of wanting this moment to be different from the way that it is, which is what you said about which adds pain to the pain, can you completely accept this moment for what it is? Mm-hmm. And just like, do you find yourself, are there moments where you are not, or you have like in your past been like unconscious? I'll give you examples. For me, they are like when I'm driving, I'm never conscious. And when I'm driving, I'm in my head having conversations with people, analysis of things. I'm completely wrapped up in my head when I'm driving and in the shower.
Yeah, that's so true. Oh my gosh, yeah.
When I'm driving and I'm in the shower, those are the two places where my brain can like literally take off with itself. What I've been good at is I use those moments to do like an analysis of like, I'll use it for like, I'll channel work, right? Like instead of like things that will like bring me other places, I'll like, instead of like thinking about like, oh, mom and I, like my family and I's dynamic is weird, so let me spend the next 15, 20 minutes in the shower like thinking about ways to make it better, and I end up just having a fight with my family.
Right.
or like let me revisit every argument that we're having on WhatsApp.
Right. Oh gosh. Yeah.
Or let me think about all of the ways that I can defeat somebody who is a Trump supporter in an argument on a Facebook comment thread.
Oh no.
3 hours, like you know what I mean? Like that's kind of like
yeah.
I'll just like go.
Yeah.
Instead of doing that, it's like that's where in those places I just like, okay, I'm in the shower. Let me just enjoy the shower. Oh, I'm driving. Oh, it's a nice day. Let me turn on the music and not think about anything else.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean,
on that.
I mean, I don't. Again, that's why I know I just.
Well, for me, it's when I'm playing music.
Do you think about other stuff when you play music though? You're not like in the music in the moment, like just far away?
Oh, okay. No, I'm sorry. I meant the opposite. Like that's when I'm like, like that's my most full present moment right there. It's but unconscious moments. Sometimes when I'm working out, believe it or not, my mind will go to different places, and I have to guide myself back out of it. Like, no, we don't need to be thinking about that right now. Let's get back in it. Which probably means I'm not working out hard enough, because when you're in that survival mode, all you can think about is how the hell am I going to get through this last round or whatever. So but yeah, sometimes that happens.
So now that I'm a like a novice runner, I use that time to work through things and use the tools that like we've come to learn through this book to work those things out. It's like I'm going to use this time to find the solutions for these things. And so I have a systems issue at the office. So can I work this out here, right? If I'm thinking about the other stuff that's going on in my life, like being conscious of that, you know what I'm saying? Like when he talks about I'm going to set the time and I'm consciously going to set aside the time to do this. And when this is over, we're going to move past it.
Right.
So I definitely have engaged that tool. It's been useful. And when it starts to, and you can feel how when it starts to go off the rails, and then you bring yourself back. Like, no, we don't. That's not what we're talking about here. Like, come back. Yeah. We don't have to worry about that. That's up to somebody else to decide that part. This is what we can do here. And I sent you a text message 2 weeks ago when I was having so for those of us who are listening, the last several weeks I know that we're on chapter 6, but who knows how long we've been doing this in the time-space continuum. Yeah. But for the last couple of weeks, it has been a lot of highs and lows, roller coasters, because we feel very good about things, but then things, because life inevitably takes sharp left and right turns. And so it has been up and down. And so I sent Carlos a text saying that there's these there's two possibilities of things that could happen in this situation. And for the first time since like this came to a head, I am okay with whatever fucking happens. Like, I'm not going to be more happy or less happy with either outcome. And I remember, and I think I said, I'm like, and I think that's a good thing.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. You did say that. You said it
And I
exactly
think,
like that.
and I only, the reason I said that was like when I did the gut check, I was like, okay, it could be this, or it could be this. And I felt them both, and I was like, yeah, they both feel fine. Like, this is good. Like,
Yep.
okay.
Yeah, I remember when you sent me that. That was tough though, man. That's like tremendous insight right there. You know, because most people just get stuck on the part that they think they want. You know, but they don't explore the other side.
Or like, the part that they want, and which is usually wrapped up with like the fear of losing, you know, what they have, or the unknown, right? And sure, like there's always, you know, when you're weighing two options, one of the options is something that you know and something that you don't, right? Like, you've got a job that is good, but there's an opportunity over here, and maybe, you know, like, do you leave something that you know and you find comfort in and is treated well for the new exciting other possibility? You don't know, right? And so, and that's why I felt like I since I don't know, and honestly, like, it's not up to me. I only have control up to a certain point, right? Like, that's what it felt like. I'm like, well, I feel like I'm doing it all, and I feel really good about what I'm doing, and it doesn't come from a place where it's forced or it's like it's supernatural, because this is like when I talk of earlier we were talking about like how we found the book's subtitle is Awakening to Your Life's Purpose, and so the question that I want to pose to anyone who's listening to this, and is have you, over the course of you reading this book, become aware or more aware of, or to what your life's purpose could be or is, you know? And the idea, I think, when I first read it was, I'm going to figure out what I want to do with my life. And what I've come to the realization is I've realized what I'm actually really good at. I've always been good at. And how that does that. And so only through this was I able to see that. And knowing that, it's like, okay, well, there's the clear path. I'm just going to continue to, like, if I continue to nourish those skills and do those and focus on that,
then everything else drives itself. That's the thing. Like, it'll drive itself, you know. And yeah, man. So I mean, that's magic right there. Like, that's the part that's really cool, because, you know, when people think of life's purpose, they automatically think career, they think income, they think, you know, and no, it's not. It's not that. That's not what it is. See, life's purpose is, you know, a career is a result of, or a specific job or whatever is a result of what life's purpose means, you know. So it's something about you that, you know, will lead you to different options. You know, if you're a coordinator, you're a driver, you like to bring people together, you like to, you know, that can lead to many different things. You know what I'm saying?
I just don't know how you write that resume, but, you know, that's for somebody else to decide.
Well, you know, I mean, that's why you don't do a resume. You do a CV, a curriculum vitae, right? Dude, you know, because it gives you an opportunity to write about yourself.
I'm one of these 2020 people now that's just like, I've figured this out, and I'm leading by my own personal example and experience. And what I know,
I'm one of these 2020 people now.
Like, I was like, do I need to go get an MBA? No, I don't think I need an MBA. I'm just going to start a podcast.
Yep, that's it. Yeah, that's it, man.
No, and here's the thing. I'm not an authority on the sense that, like, I have done extensive amounts of research, and I am presenting this to you as, like, here is a proven method. No. What this is my personal experience. And it's not just mine, it's yours. And so you're bearing witness, and I am bearing witness to you. And collectively, what the message here is that there's another way. There's a way out.
Right.
And we know it to be true because we're experiencing it ourselves.
Yeah. You can unplug from the matrix.
Completely. Without it being nasty.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Or without going to extremes, you know? Yeah.
Extreme.
Yeah. Extremes. Yeah. People love extremes, man. But that's a topic for another time. But for now, George, where can they find this podcast?
More than words is all I have to. Is that extreme? Is that
That is
extreme?
extreme. Yeah.
I mean, you can find this podcast wherever you get your podcast. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, we're there.
You love me, 'cause
Cause
I
don't
really know. Yeah. And you can find us on Instagram at MOACA Media. And you can find me at carlos.escanilla or my music page at carlos305 music. And George?
You can see me and my new dedication to Team Soul Powerlifting on at George I. Sanchez on Instagram. I've decided to do a full powerlifting cycle, and maybe do a meet in 2021. So follow that journey there. For all things MOACA Media, please visit us on moacamedia.com. If you have an email you want to contribute, you want to add to this conversation, send us an email to moacamedia@gmail.com. Or hey, listen, slide it to the DMs on Instagram. We'll both answer it.
I love that.
Yes, I do.
All right, guys. Well,
all right,
thanks
everybody.
for everything. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.
Yes.
Enjoy this episode. Hope you enjoyed this episode. See you on the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.